In order to really understand why search engines work the way they do, this lesson is going to teach you about the history of search engines. In doing so, you'll learn a lot about the history of the World Wide Web in general, and gain an understanding of key points in history and the people who worked behind the scenes to create the internet and the means to search and catalog it. It's easy to forget that just a little over 15 years ago, the web looked like this, a list of links that was maintained by humans. Finding information you wanted was a difficult process and usually involved clicking link after link, hoping you would arrive at the right place. Let's discuss the people and companies who have paved the way to make the internet as we know it today and have created a host of new jobs, businesses, and more. Many say the idea of the internet was conceived in 1945 after an engineer, Vannevar Bush, wrote an article for Time titled As We May Think. In this article, Bush pushed top scientists at the time to create a virtually limitless, fast, reliable, extensible, associative memory storage and retrieval system. Bush realized that technology was advancing rapidly, and with it, the human race would need a way to store, catalog, and easily access the information we were accumulating. You can still read the original article, now available online at the Atlantic's website. I have included a link for you in the course materials. Let's move forward to the 1960s, where Gerard Salton, often considered the father of modern search technology, created the idea of a search engine and developed the information retrieval system called SMART, which stood for Salton's Magic Automatic Retriever of Text. He authored a book called A Theory of Indexing, which details many of his initial tests that search is still largely based off of, including concepts like statistical weighting, relevancy algorithms, and more. You can find his book on Amazon at the link provided. I have also included a link to a blog post by Tom Evslin, who worked with Salton during this project. It's a very interesting post, and I suggest you read it. Around the same time, Ted Nelson created a project of his own and named it Project Xanadu, which had the goal of being a computer network with a simple user interface that could solve a variety of social problems such as attribution. Ted coined the term hypertext and was against complex markup code, broken links, and other problems typically associated with traditional HTML and the World Wide Web. Much of the inspiration to create the World Wide Web was actually drawn from Ted's work. You can read more about Ted on the Wikipedia link provided in your course materials. A short time after this, in 1969, a service called ARPANET was born. This was created by ARPA, which stands for the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, and is part of the U.S. Department of Defense. ARPANET was a secure and fast computer network that allowed the transmission of information across long distances. The service utilized rented telephone lines to convey military intelligence. It's pretty safe to say that without the creation of ARPANET, the internet as we know it today would not exist. I've included a link to an old video from 1972 which explained ARPANET and computer networks to the public. Wikipedia also has an interesting article about the creation of ARPANET, which I've also included a link to. Fast forward to 1990, and we have the first search engine, created by a man named Alan M. Taj. This search engine was known as Archie, which was short for archives. Archie was able to retrieve files from a database by matching a user query using regular expressions. Alan also created a template indexing method that would allow Archie to index freely available or public domain documents, images, sounds, and services on the network. Archie didn't use keywords to find related documents like modern search engines do. To use Archie effectively, one had to know the name of the file you were looking for, as Archie didn't index the content of the files, only the titles. By 1992, Archie contained about 2.6 million files, and its service processed approximately 50,000 queries per day, generated from thousands of users around the world. As Archie's popularity grew, two similar search engines, Veronica and Jughead, were created, with the purpose of indexing plain text files. In 1991, Tim Berners-Lee, an independent contractor at CERN, had created the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web was created based on a concept of hypertext to facilitate sharing and updating information among researchers. In 1991, the first website was built and put online. It provided an explanation about what the World Wide Web was and how one could set up a web server and own a browser. You can still view this website at the link I provided you in the course materials. This also allows you to simulate viewing the website through an old line mode browser. In 1993, the first robot or spider was created. This bot was called the World Wide Web Wanderer and was created as a way to measure the growth of the web. The bot was soon upgraded to capture active URLs and store them in a database called Wandex. But the Wanderer soon became more of a problem than a solution. It crawled websites and accessed pages hundreds of times a day, creating a lot of server lag and at times causing websites to crash. This created a lot of distrust in robots among webmasters and the general public. In response to the Wanderer, AliWeb was created. AliWeb stood for Archie-like indexing of the web and crawled meta information of pages. To avoid issues with bots, AliWeb allowed owners to submit their site to be included in the search index, along with a description of their web page. Due to this, bots were not needed to collect the data, so bandwidth issues were no longer a concern. The downside is that many people did not know they had to submit their site or how to do so. You should now have an understanding of why search engines were created and how they have evolved over time. While very different than modern-day search engines like Google, these early search engines still have a lot of similarities to how search engines process and analyze data today. That completes the video portion of this lesson.